Hello students, welcome back to today's science class. Today we will be looking into chapter 3.3, Human Impact on the Environment. So these are the three words that you'll be learning in this class. First of all, we are learning to describe ways that humans damage habitats. Secondly, we are learning to describe ways that humans help habitats. And lastly, we are learning to identify advantages and disadvantages of different energy resources. So we're going to do some recap session on chapter 3.2. Chapter 3.2, we were talking about food chains. So organisms, they need to consume food to acquire energy, and the energy is released through respiration. So again, respiration and breathing are two different things, okay? And in a food chain, there are some few key players. First, we have the producers, right? Producers are organisms that makes its own food, such as plant. And the second key player is the consumers. Consumers are animals that feed on other living things. So we have primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and we also have a top predator. So in a food chain, so this is an example of food chain. A food chain is actually a list with arrows that shows what eats what in a habitat. So when we have multiple food chains coming together, it will form a food web. Right. So we are going into chapter 3.3 right now, human impact on the environment. So the number of people living on Earth is the world human population. Or sometimes population refers to a group of organisms of the same species. So a human is called Homo sapiens. So lots of human coming together. So when we have lots of humans, because humans are of the same species, so we call a human population. So as of today, the human population is at 7.7 billion. So we can, based on the graph here, we can see there is an exponential growth starting from 1850 up to 2017. Right, of course, with an increase in human population means we need more space to live in, more food, more water, more resources from the earth. So in order to meet all these needs, people tend to clear natural habitats, to build farms, to raise buildings. So sometimes we destroy habitats to build dams, to form reservoirs. Sometimes we mine rocks. So these rocks will be used for buildings and roads. So all these kinds of human activities would actually destroy the natural habitats for animals and plants. So when we destroy natural habitats, animals and plants, they have nowhere to live, and or they may not have access to food, to have access to shelter. So one of the human activity is called deforestation. So deforestation refers to cutting down forests, right? So people clear natural habitats for building homes, dam to form reservoirs and planting crops. So this is in order to cater to the rise of human population. So on the other hand, human activities such as poaching can also damage food chains. So for example, let's look at the diagram here. So we have the grass, we have the deer, and we have the lion. So if human were to hunt the deer for food, excessive hunting, the lion would have less food and they may die, right? So if humans were to kill the lion, okay, the deer's population will actually increase. So when the deer's population increase, this will actually cause a shortage of grass for other herbivores. So there could be other herbivores such as a buffalo living in the region. So without the lion to control the population of the deer in that habitat, so it will actually cause a shortage of food. The grass will actually face the risk of extinction. And of course, as time went by, the buffalo and the deer would also, the population of these two animals would actually decrease because of this shortage of food. So it's very important that everything is kept in balance. The amount of lion, the amount of deer, and the amount of grass in the habitat. So it is so important to protect the food chain. Of course, with the increase of human population, this has led to an increase in pollution. Some of this is due to more fossil fuels being burned for heat and power, more food being grown, land taken over for industry and housing, right? So, and pollutants are actually called the substances that causes harm to organisms, right? So we're going to stop here on pollutants. So I'll be recording a second part of the lecture on pollutions and renewable resources. Right, class, remember to pause the video and take down the notes in your exercise book.